Hello, everybody. I am Praveen Singh, and I welcome all of you on the behalf of Sankar Dev IAS Academy, Guwahati. So, in this video, I am going to discuss the first test that has been conducted by the Sankar Dev IAS Academy. And the subject of this first mock test, first online mock test, was the Indian history. So in this video, I will discuss first around 50 questions, and then in the next video, the rest of the 50 question. So without wasting the time, let us start our discussion. Yeah. So the first question, the later Vedic age means the age of compilation of what? Compilation. So the literatures that were compiled in the later Vedic age are Samhita. Samhita means the Rig Veda, Sam Veda, Yajur Veda, and the Atharva Veda. Although the the Rig Veda was compiled in the early Vedic period, and this rest of the three, the Sam Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda, all were compiled in the later Vedic age. Later Vedic age means age between 1000 to 600 BCE, that is the before Common Era. In the later Vedic period, the Brahmana literature were compiled, Aranyaka were compiled, and even the Upanishads were also compiled. So here your answer would be what? All the above. All the above. So Samhitas, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and I think that you might be aware that all these are part of Vedic literature. The Samhita, the Brahmanas, and the Aranyakas all are part of Vedic literature. Those who were in my online class, they are very much aware that all the Samhitas, Brahmanas, Aranyakas, and including the Upanishads are considered as what? As Vedic literature. Move to the second question, Gayatri Mantra. So in Gayatri Mantra, it is in which book? It is in which Veda? So the answer is, it is in the Rig Veda. You know, Mandala 10. I have discussed this in class. Mandala 3. Mandala 3 of the Rig Veda. We have the Gayatri Mantra. So answer is what? A. The term Aryan, Indo-Aryan or Indo-European denotes. It's a very important question and as well as a little bit tough question. The term Aryan, Indo-Aryan or Indo-European denotes indicates what? Answer is, it is a linguistic group. There are few historians and few people, including the brutal dictator of Germany, Hitler. He believed what? Aryan in the form of race. But this is totally wrong, my dear. The word Arya never represents a race, rather, it represents what? A linguistic group. So the answer is linguistic group A. Two popular assemblies of the Vedic period were? Answer is Sabha and the Samiti. You know, in the Vedic period, we have Sabha, Samiti, Vidatha, and the Gana. All were what? The Vedic assemblies, the tribal assemblies. In the early Vedic period, the Sabha, Samiti, Vidat, and Ganas were powerful. But in the later Vedic period, they became less powerful because the king emerged as what? As the most powerful political entity, you can say. Sabha was the assembly of the elders. Samiti were the assembly of all the adult male and female of the tribe. So always remember Sabha, Samiti, Vidat and the Gana are what? Are or were the tribal assemblies or the Vedic assemblies in the Vedic period. And among those four, this one was the earliest one or the oldest one. and this Vidatha performed the functions of what? Military. Sabha related with justice. So very important for your exam, my dear. Always remember. Now here I am asking you a question that in which book it has been called or it has been said that Sabha and Samiti are the two daughters of Prajapati. So those people, those students who are watching this videos, they can what answer me in the comment box. My question is, in which book Sabha and Samiti are called the two daughters of Prajapati? Asoka has been particularly influenced by the Buddhist monk. Answer is Upagupta. Asoka, you know, the greatest Mauryan ruler. Before the Battle of Kalinga, Asoka was Saivite. Saivite. It means he worshipped Lord Shiva. In Battle of Kalinga, approximately 1 lakh people were killed. It appealed what the conscience of the Asoka. One day, Asoka was in his balcony and he saw what? A young boy preaching the doctrines of Buddhism. He was very much attracted. He liked what the doctrine of Buddhism. And that young boy was none other than his nephew Upagupta or Nigrodh. So, under the influence of Upagupta, Asoka inclined towards Buddhism. He started what? Liking Buddhism. And then, under the great scholar, philosopher Moggaliputtis, the great Buddhist philosopher Moggaliputtis, Asoka embraced Buddhism. So, here your answer would be Upagupta. Now, who had got the Konark Sun Temple constructed? Here, there is a little bit correction that you all have to do. Answer is Narsimha Deva first, or Narsimha Gang, you can say. Narsimha Gang. You know, the Gang dynasty was in the Odisha. But in Indian history, you have to study about the two Gang dynasty. One is the Western Gang, and Western Gang were in the Karnataka or in the South Karnataka, whose capital was Talakkad, then Kolar, and then Eastern Gang. And the ruler of Eastern Gang, they were in Odisha or the Kalinga. And in Odisha, they built magnificent, beautiful temples like the Jagannath temple of Puri, built by Aditya Varma, Anantavarman Gang. And the most important, the most beautiful temple of Odisha is what? Is the Konark temple or the Sun temple of Konark, built by Narsimha Gang. Got it? And you know that this Sun temple is under the UNESCO's World Heritage List, or it is a UNESCO's World Heritage Site, cultural UNESCO's World Heritage Site. Remember this, very important. In Odisha, you have to remember the three temples. One is the Lingaraja temple located where? Bhubaneswar. Second one is the Jagannath temple located where? Puri. And the third, that was built in and around 13th century, is the Sun temple located at Konark. So these three temples are very important for your exam. Now Jataka, my dear. Jataka is also very important. Jatakas are a collection of what? So in the Jataka, normally we have stories related what? Related to the previous life, previous birth stories of Gautam Buddha. Previous birth stories of Gautam Buddha. Always remember this. Jataka. Jataka tells. Now coming on to the question number 8. 3 gems, 3 jewels, or the 3 Ratna of Jainism. It's a very important question. Once again, write action, write lively. Let me see. No, this one is not. The answer is yes. Right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct. Right faith, samyak astha. Right knowledge, samyak gyan. right conduct, samyak acharan. And in in right conduct we have the Panch Mahavrata or the five cardinal principle. Five Mahavrata. Always remember Mahavratas. Five Mahavratas is a part of Jainism, and five Mahavratas are under whom? Under the right conduct. So in Buddhism we also have Triratna, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, and in Jainism we also have this Triratna, the right faith, right knowledge and the right conduct. Outside India, Buddhism was first accepted where? In the Sri Lanka, also known as Ceylon, also known as Ratnadweep, Sri Lanka. In Mauryan period, I have told you the story that Asoka sent his elder son and elder daughter, Mahendra and Sanghamitra, where? In Sri Lanka. And these two people, Mahendra and Sanghamitra, spread Buddhism where? In Sri Lanka. So outside India, Buddhism was Buddhism first reached in Sri Lanka. Then comes the question number 10. The most important official post with vast responsibilities created by Asoka was Dharma Mahamatra or the Dhamma Mahamatra. After the battle of Kalinga, what Asoka did? Asoka implemented a policy known as Dhamma, the policy of Dhamma. Always remember that Dhamma was neither a new religion, nor a form of Buddhism, nor even the court religion. Rather, it was a common code of conduct, ethical code of conduct. So, Dhamma is basically a policy of religious tolerance. That's it. The definition of Dhamma has been taken from a book or Buddhist text, Rahulovad Sutta. Rahulovad Sutta. And in Asoka's major rock edict number 5, we have the appointment of Dhamm Mahamatra. And his duties, his functions were what? Were to spread the message of Dhamma. So, Dhamm Mahamatra. Coming on to the question number 11, the first great empire to the south of the Vindhyas was? So, answer is Satavahanas. After the fall of decline of the Mauryans, Satavahanas emerged as the successor to the Mauryans where? In the Deccan region. Satavahanas were successor to the Mauryans in the Deccan region. And they built a large empire covering the whole Deccan, the Maharashtra, parts of Karnataka, and the Andhra and the Telangana. So the answer is Satvahana. Now, which of the following Kushana king assumed the title of Lord of the Spheres? Simple. It's a little bit tough question. Answer is Cadphises II. Lord of the Sphere, Cadphises II. Comes to the question number 13. Who among the following is not associated with medicine in ancient India? Dhanvantari associated with medicine because he was in the court of Chandragupta II and he was a famous Ayurvedacharya. Dhanvantari, he was in the court of Chandragupta II, the Vikramaditya, one of the greatest Gupta ruler. Sushrut, he wrote Sushrut Samhita, and in Sushrut we comes to know about what? Surgery. So S for Sushrut and S for surgery, very important. Charaka was in the court of Kaniska and he wrote Charak Samhita. In this book, he had described about what? About the various diseases and their remedies or their medicine, Ayurvedic medicine. Charaka. So Charak wrote what? Charak Samhita. And he was in the court of Kaniska, the greatest ruler of the Kushana dynasty. Bhaskaracharya, my dear, he was a basically astrologer and astronomer. In Indian history, you have to read about two Bhaskaracharya, the Bhaskaracharya 1 and the Bhaskaracharya 2. And the 2 was much more important than the 1. Bhaskaracharya 2, In the early medieval period, he wrote Leelavati, a book on mathematics. Bhaskaracharya is also associated with the concept of infinity. And Bhaskaracharya first, he was in the Gupta period, who wrote commentaries on what? On the various doctrines or principles of Aryabhatta. So both the Bhaskaracharya were basically astrologer, astronomer and a mathematician. So here the answer would be what? Answer would be C. Bhaskaracharya was not associated with medicine. Now the city of Patliputra was founded at the junction of the Ganges and which river? See here we have the Ganges river and here comes the Son river and this one is the Ganga or the Ganges and here we have this Patliputra. So this Patliputra is where near the confluence of Ganga and the Son. So answer is here A. Yes, Todarmal. You know, Todarmal was a Hindu officer in the court of Akbar, famous for his land revenue reforms. So his reforms is known as what? Answer is Japti. Jabti. See, Kankut, Galla Bakshi and Nask were all the different types of what? The land revenue. But the land revenue reforms that was introduced by the Todarmal is known as Japti or Japt. You know, Todarmal was also in the court of Sirsa. He was also in the court of Sirsa. Todarmal. Now, the Buddhist universities of Nalanda. Here, see, my dear, I am not discussing what was this Japti or Japt or the Dahsala system. Dahsala. Once again, let me write. Dahsala. You know, this Japti or Japt is also known as Dahsala. Here I am not discussing about what is the Dahsala or the Japti. I have already discussed in what? In the classroom. Here what you have to remember, it was a kind of land revenue reform that was introduced by Todarmal in the reign of Akbar the Great Mughal ruler. Coming on to the question number 16, the Buddhist universities of Nalanda and Bikramshila in Bihar were destroyed during the invasion of, it's a simple one, Muhammad Ghori. You know, Muhammad Ghori had one commander general known as Bakhtiyar Khilji. Bakhtiyar Khilji. Oh, sorry. Here the answer would be what? The Bakhtiyar Khilji. See, Ghori had two commander general. One was Kutubuddin Aibak and the second one was Bakhtiyar Khilji. So Bakhtiyar Khilji did what? Bakhtiyar Khilji, he demolished, he destroyed the Nalanda University. He killed so many Buddhist monks. Remember this. The first Sultan of Delhi to cross the Narmada and move to the south was, it's a simple one, Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin Khilji. You know that this is the Vindhyan mountain. When Alauddin Khilji crossed, at that time in Deccan and South India, we have four dynasties or kingdom. In the Devgiri, we have the Yadav dynasty. In the Warangal, we have the Kakatiya dynasty. In the Dwar Samudra, we have the Hoysala dynasty. And in the Tamil Nadu, we have the Pandya dynasty of Madurai. Warangal, Kakatiya dynasty. In the Karnataka, Hoysala dynasty of Dwar Samudra. And in Maharashtra, Yadava dynasty of Devgiri. So, the first Sultan of Delhi to cross Narmada and move to the south was Alauddin Khilji. And I think that you might be aware that now, just I am asking you a question. Who was made Commander General of the South India expedition of Alauddin Khilji? You have to write, or you have to comment on what? On the message box or on the comment box. Who was the Commander General of Alauddin Khilji who conquered or who defeated the South Indian rulers? Yes, now comes 18, the Temur invaded India and ordered a general massacre of the people of Delhi during the reign of. So around 1398, my dear. Timur came from came from Central Asia, Uzbekistan. So 1398, he invaded in 1398 and he massacred what? The people of Delhi. So at that time, who was the Tughlaq or the Tughlaq ruler? Answer is Nasiruddin Mahmud. Nasiruddin Mahmud Tughlaq. Nasiruddin Mahmud Tughlaq was the ruler or the Tughlaq ruler when Timur invaded India. Got it? Yes. So coming on to the question number 19, the famous Mughal general who conquered Assam, Chittagong, etc. in the northeast. The answer is what? Mir Jumla. You know Mir Jumla? He was a trader as well. He was a trader as well. Then he became an officer of Aurangzeb, and on the direction of the Aurangzeb, he defeated the Ahom rulers of Assam. But later on, Ahoms, brave, courageous, determined. So what they did later on in the Battle of Sarai Ghat, although they have a very limited army, but through their strategy, war strategy, they were able to defeat the mighty Mughals in the Battle of Sarai Ghat. But initially, Mir Jumla, he was able to conquer a part of Assam. So here the answer would be Mir Jumla. Now the question number 20, the Mughal general who decisively defeated Shivaji and forced him to conclude the Treaty of Purandar in 1665 was. He was a brave, powerful Rajput ruler, Mirza Raja Jai Singh, and he was also the officer of Aurangzeb. Got it? So in 1665, Shivaji had to surrender in front of the Mughals. And then Shivaji signed a treaty named as what? Treaty of Purandar, 1665. Remember this, very, very important, my dear. Now the two masterpieces of the reign of Shah Jahan were the two marble masterpieces of the reign of Shah Jahan were. Let me check here. Yes, the answer is the Pearl Mosque and the Taj Mahal. Both are where? Agra. But this Pearl Mosque is in the fort of Agra and the Taj Mahal is not in the fort of what? Agra. It is near to uh, uh, the fort of Agra. But the Taj Mahal, always remember, is not in the fort of Agra or the Red Fort of Agra. You know who built the Red Fort of Agra? Answer is Akbar. And what about the Red Fort of Delhi? Answer is Shah Jahan. So here the Pearl Mosque, the first mosque of the Mughals completely built in white marble. First mosque of the Mughals completely built in white marble is Pearl Mosque or the Moti Masjid. Question number 22. Who defeated Humayun in the Battle of Kannauj? And that person also constructed the old fort or the Purana Killa of Delhi or the New Delhi. Answer is very simple, is Sher Shah Suri. Sher Shah Suri. Sher Shah Suri, he defeated Humayun, the son of Babur, in 1539, Battle of Chausa, and then in 1540, Battle of Kannauj or Bilgram. And later on, he constructed what? Purana Killa. And in that Purana Killa, we have a Killa e Kuhna Mosque. Killa e Kuhna Mosque. Killa e Kuhna Mosque. Got it? So all these architectures were built by Sher Shah. And the tomb of Sher Shah or the mausoleum of Sher Shah, it is where? It is in Sasaram, Bihar. The medieval ruler who was the first to establish a separate ministry of agriculture. Separate ministry of agriculture. कौन था वो? Who was that? The answer is Muhammad bin Tughlaq. To introduce his various agrarian reforms, what Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he established a separate ministry for what? Agriculture. And this separate ministry was known as what? Amir-e-Kohi or Diwan-e-Kohi. Kohi, always remember, agriculture department. Then the rock cut temples of Mahabalipuram were built under the patronage of, once again it's a very important, the rock cut temples of Mahabalipuram. Answer is the Pallava king. Now answer me in the comment box, who founded the city of Mamallapuram or the Mahabalipuram? You know, and that king built what? The rock cut temples of Mahabalipuram and the monolithic temples of Mahabalipuram. And you know this, the Pallava architecture of Mahabalipuram are under UNESCO's World Heritage List. It's a very important one. So in the message box, write the name, who was that ruler, who was that Pallava ruler. Coming on to the question number 25, who was the famous Deccan Hindu king whose fleet crossed the Bay of Bengal with an army and conquered a number of states in Sumatra, Java and Malaysia? Yes, it's an important one. Answer is the Raj Raja Chola. Raj Raja first Chola. Clear? The Chola, you know, the mighty Cholas, their capital was Tanjore. In Indian history, you have to read about the two Chola. One is the Cholas of the Sangam dynasty, whose capital was Urayur and then Puhar. But the most important Cholas are what? The Cholas of the early medieval period, and their capital was where? Tanjore or the Tanjore. Where is this Tanjore or Tanjore? Tamil Nadu. And one of the most powerful ruler of this Chola dynasty was the Rajendra Chola or Rajendra first. Although the greatest ruler was Raj Raja first, but Rajendra first, who was Rajendra first? He was the son of the Raj Raja first. So what he did, he defeated the various Southeast Asian ruler. Why? To promote his trade and commerce. Clear? In Southeast Asia, that at that time there was an empire or there was a kingdom known as Sri Vijay. Sri Vijay Empire. So remember this, Rajendra first or the Rajendra Chola. Then coming to the question number 26, the first known ruler to introduce canal irrigation in India. Among these four, your answer would be Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Because Firoz Shah Tughlaq, see, Krishna Dev Raya also built, Akbar also built, but Firoz Tughlaq came first. All these rulers, except what? The Firoz Shah Tughlaq, came after Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Got it? So all the rulers, except the Firoz Shah Tughlaq, were what? Younger, or they came after Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So Firoz Shah Tughlaq was the first known ruler among all these four options who introduced what? Canal irrigation. But before Firoz Shah Tughlaq, you know, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq or Tughlaq was the first ruler of Delhi Sultanate who built canals. But on an extensive level, Firoz Shah Tughlaq. He built canals in the Satluj River and in the Kali River, and the name of those canals were Rajab Wah and Ulugh Khani Canal. You know, the Rajab Wah and Ulugh Khani Canal were the longest canal of India up to 19th century. Rajab Wah and Ulugh Khani Canal were the longest canal of India up to 19th century. So on an extensive level, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, he built what? Canals, particularly where? In the northwest part of the Indian subcontinent. And before Firoz Shah Tughlaq, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, his grandfather. Then earliest Sufi order to arrive in India. Answer is the Chishti. Chishti. In Indian history, in medieval Indian history, you have to study about the various Sufi order or the silsila. The Chishti, Suhrawardi, Qadri, Naqshbandi, Sattari, Kalandari. So all these were what? The silsila or the order. So all you have to study. So the first Sufi order or the first Sufi silsila who arrived in India was the Chishti. Now I am asking you a question. The first Sufi saint who arrived in India. First Sufi saint who arrived in India. Here just I am giving you the hint. These are the, and his name start with A, and his title starts with word H, and that Sufi, he wrote a book named Kasf ul Mahjoob. Kasf, Kasf or Kaspha, Kasf ul Mahjoob. So the author of Kasf ul Mahjoob was the first Sufi saint who arrived in India. But as far as order is concerned, as far as silsila is concerned, your answer would be Chishti. During the reign of or during the time of invasion of Muhammad Ghori, the founder of Chishti order in India was Moinuddin Chishti. He arrived in India along with Muhammad Ghori, Moinuddin Chishti, and he made his Khanka or hospice where? At Ajmer. And where is Ajmer? Ajmer, it is in Rajasthan. Hospice or residential place. Khanka, where? At Ajmer. Harihar and Bukka, they founded which dynasty? Answer is Sangama dynasty. Sangama dynasty. Sangama was in fact the name of what? The father of Harihar and Bukka. They were the two brothers, and in 1336 they revolted against whom? Against Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and on the bank of Tungabhadra river they founded what? Vijayanagar Empire, and the name of their dynasty was Sangama dynasty. Right now Vijayanagar is what known as what? Hampi. Hampi, and this is UNESCO's World Heritage Site. Question number 29. Babur's autobiography called Tujuk-e-Babri. Not Babarnama. Babarnama is in fact what? It's Persian translation. And the translation is done by Abdur Rahim Khan Khana during the reign of Akbar. So this Babur's autobiography called Tujuk-e-Babri, which is reckoned among the most enthralling and romantic works in the literature of all times, is written in which language? Answer is Turkish language. Chagatai Turkish. And who translated Babarnama or the Tujuk-e-Babri in the Persian language known as Babarnama? Answer is Abdur Rahim Khan Khana. Abdur Rahim Khan Khana. And this Rahim was a great poet in Hindi literature. And this Rahim was a mansabdar or officer in the court of Akbar. Sirsa, the longest road built by Sirsa known as Sadak-e-Azam, currently known as GT Road or the Grand Trunk Road or Sirsa Suri Road, ran from the Indus in the northwest to on the bank of Ganga, Sonargaon, Bangladesh, Sonargaon. So it is between what? This is Indus River, and here we have the Ganga River. So it is between, you can say, Takshashila or Peshawar, or here we have the Attock in fact, and here we have the Sonargaon. So from the bank of Indus to the bank of Ganga, Attock to Sonargaon, the Sher Shah Suri मार्ग और द सड़क-ए आजम. 31. Two women who, while conducting the affairs of their state, faced Akbar's war of conquest were Rani Durgavati and Chand Bibi. They were respectively from which dynasties or from which region? The answer is C. Gondwana and Ahmednagar. Rani Durgavati was from Gondwana, and where is Gondwana? Madhya Pradesh. So around 1564, what Akbar did, his officer defeated what the Rani Durgavati, and Rani Durgavati lost his life in the battle. Chand Bibi played a very important role in where? In the Ahmednagar. And in Ahmednagar there was a Muslim kingdom and the name of that Muslim kingdom was Nizam Shahi. Nizam Shahi. Nizam Shahi dynasty. Ahmednagar. So answer is C. The Mughal queen whose name was inscribed on the coins and on all royal farmans as well as attached to the imperial signature was, it's a very simple one, Noor Jahan. The last or the 12th one, the 12th wife of Jahangir, the Mughal emperor, Noor Jahan. And what was the real name of Noor Jahan? आप लोग मैसेज लिख सकते हैं इन कमेंट बॉक्स में. So do message me in the comment box. Ambassador of British King James I, who secured favorable privilege for the East India Company from Emperor Jahangir was. Answer is Thomas Roe. Always remember, the first agent of the British East India Company who arrived in the court of Jahangir was William Hawkins. William Hawkins, he was the company's agent. And as well as the ambassador of the British King as well. But this Thomas Roe, he was the ambassador of British King James I, and he was successful in getting what? Favorable privilege for the East India Company. William Hawkins, he arrived, and he wanted what? He wanted to seek permission. He wanted to get permission to start trade and commerce in the empire of the Mughal, or in the territory of the what? The Mughal. Who? The Hawkins, William Hawkins. So he arrived into the court of Jahangir first, but he was failed to secure favorable privilege for the East India Company. So who was successful? Answer is Thomas Roe was successful in getting favorable privilege for the East India Company. Thomas Roe. Pallava ruler who built the famous Kailash temple at Kanchi and Sor temple at Mahabalipuram. Who was that? Answer is Narsimha II. Narsimha Varman II. He built what? Kailash Nath temple, where the Kanchi and the Sor temple. This Sor temple mainly belongs to the Shiva. But here you will also find a temple of what? The Lord Vishnu as well. Narsimha II is the answer. Question number 35. The first Sultan of Delhi to issue regular currency and to declare Delhi as the capital of his empire. Answer is Iltutmish, the first Sultan of Delhi to issue regular currency. You know, the currency issued or minted by the Iltutmish was Tanka. Tanka belongs to silver, and Jital belongs to copper. And these two coins were on the Arabic pattern. And he also declared Delhi as his capital. Before Iltutmish, Kutubuddin Aibak's head office was Lahore, not the Delhi. So answer is here. The answer of question number 35 is D. Iltutmish. Jizya. It was a tax. It was a kind of poll tax, you can say. It was not a custom duty. It was not a tax on silk products. It was not a tax on salt. Rather, it was a kind of poll tax. Who has to pay, or who were have to pay the jizya? Answer is the non-Muslims. The non-Muslims, they were called what? Jimmi. You can also write like this. Jimmi. The Muslims. So they were to pay what? They were to pay the jizya. But remember here that the women, the poor, beggars, and the disabled people were need not to pay the jizya tax or the jizya tax. So they were exempted. Who exempted? The poor or the beggars. Number one. Number two, the females. And the three, disabled people. They were exempted from this jizya tax. Adi Granth was compiled by the fifth Guru Arjun Deva. Adi Granth was compiled by the fifth Guru Arjun Deva. In which script? Gurumukhi script. In the Adi Granth, we have what? We have the sayings, we have the sermons of what? Of the Sikh Guru, and as well as the Kabir Das, Kabir as well. Question number 38. The Indo-Persian style architecture attained its supreme beauty in the reign of Shah Jahan. The reign of Shah Jahan is considered as the climax or the golden age or the classical age for Indo-Islamic style of architecture or Indo-Persian style of architecture. Shah Jahan. Swaraj Party was formed by whom? Chittaranjan Das and Motilal Nehru in 1923. Where? At Allahabad. And their aim was to participate in the upcoming legislative election. And on that issue, the Congress were divided into two groups. See, here I am not saying that Congress party was divided. There emerged two groups in the Congress. Pro-changers, no-changers. Pro-changers, they wanted to participate in the upcoming election of the legislative councils. No-changers, they were against this election. They didn't want to participate. So the leader of pro-changers were Chittaranjan Das and Motilal Nehru, and eventually in 1923 they founded Swaraj Party. Chittaranjan Das became the first president and Motilal Nehru, its what? Its secretary. Who was the first British Prime Minister who convened the first roundtable conference in London? Answer is Ramsay MacDonald. When? 1930. You know, we have three roundtable conference, 1930, 1931 and 1932. Congress only participated in the second roundtable conference, not in the first, not in the second. So the first roundtable conference was convened by whom? The Ramsay MacDonald. You know that Ramsay MacDonald was also the first British Prime Minister. Belongs to which party? Belongs to the Labour Party, which was founded in the year 1905. So he was the first British Prime Minister of what? Of the Labour Party of Britain. Coming to the question number 41. My strongest bulwark is gone, lamented Gandhiji on the death of. My strongest bulwark is gone. This statement is about the Bal Gangadhar Tilak. On August or 1st of August 1920, Tilak was died. It was his natural death, and after his death, Gandhiji lamented by saying this word, my strongest bulwark. He also said the brightest star of Indian national movement, gone or died, disappears. 42. Who founded All India Harijan Samaj or All India or simply Harijan Sangh, Harijan Sevak Sangh or All India Anti-Untouchability League? Harijan Sevak Sangh, Harijan Samaj or All India Anti-Untouchability League? Answer is Mahatma Gandhi. In 1932, while he was in jail, Yerwada jail, Pune. So in 1932, he founded this association, and the aim of this association was to uplift the condition of untouchables. Who was the first president of this All India Anti-Untouchability League or Harijan Sevak Sangh? Answer is Ghanshyam Das Birla. 43. The Inquiry Committee of Jallianwala Bagh incident was headed by. Inquiry Committee on Jallianwala Bagh incident was headed by. You know about this, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, 13th of April 1919. You all are aware. So after this tragedy, British committee formed what? British committee formed a commission under the chairmanship of Hunter, William Hunter. Always remember, William Hunter. See, I am not saying W. Hunter. I am saying only W. Hunter, William Hunter. If it is W. Hunter, then your answer would be a bit different one. In Indian history, you have to study, or modern Indian history, you have to study about the two Hunter Commission. One 1982 Hunter Commission related to education, and this one Hunter Commission, William Hunter Commission, related to inquiry what? To inquiry the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy. So in this commission we have 9 members. 1919, how many members? 9 members. And 3 members were also Indian. 3 were what? Indians. And 6 were the Europeans. It's an important one. So Hunter Commission. Khilafat movement was organized to protest against the injustice done to what? The ruler of the Turkey. The ruler of the Turkey, that is the Khalifa. Khilafat movement. Then Simon Commission visited India. At that time, who was the Viceroy of India? So Simon Commission arrived in India around 1928, formed in 1927, and arrived in February 1928, Bombay. At that time, Lord Irwin was the Viceroy of India. Coming to the question number 46. Which of the following was not one of the cardinal principles of Mahatma Gandhi's doctrine of Satyagraha? Answer is abstinence. You need not to renounce your householder's life in order to follow the doctrine of the doctrine of Satyagraha. So you should be truthful, non-violence, and fearless. Got it? But not the abstinence. So this one is the answer. D is the answer. Bardoli Satyagraha was led by, it's a simple one, it was led by Vallabhbhai Patel in 1928. Where? In the parts of Gujarat, Bardoli Taluka. Why? Because of excessive increase in land revenue by the British authorities. Excessive increase in land revenue by the British authorities. Bardoli Satyagraha was successful, and British authorities were forced to reduce what? To reduce the land revenue, or the excessive increase in land revenue, in fact. Coming to the question number 48, the permanent settlement introduced by Cornwallis is in Bengal, Bihar and Odisha is known as Jamindari system. Answer is C, Jamindari system, also known as Istmarari system. Istmarari as well. So permanent settlement, Jamindari settlement or Istmarari settlement was introduced by Cornwallis in 1793, where? In Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. Coming to the question number 49, the master stroke of Lord Wellesley to establish British paramountcy in India. It's a simple one, subsidiary alliance. Subsidiary alliance. The first Indian state, first Indian kingdom or dynasty to accept this subsidiary alliance was Hyderabad, 1798. Hyderabad, HYD, Hyderabad. Then the last question of this video is what? The question number 50. The Deccan Riots of 1874-75 in Maharashtra was directed against the profiteering traders, money lenders. Answer is B. It was against the corrupt practices of whom? The profiteering traders and the money lenders. It was not against the British officers. It was not against the landlord. Rather, it was against the corrupt money lenders and traders who had what? Who had trapped the innocent peasant into the web of what? Of debt, into the web of debt. So answer is B. This revolt was violent and finally British suppressed this revolt violently. But in year 1879, British through an act called Deccan Agricultural Relief Act, some reliefs were given, some concession or relaxation were given to the farmers. Deccan Agricultural Relief Act 1879. So this is all about the first part. In the second part, we will discuss uh, the rest of the questions. Got it? So thank you.